The physician-patient relationship to me is just so important. I really learned that from my father, who I spent a lot of time with in my training and even my early years. He was an orthopedic surgeon. Out of all the physicians that I trained with, he was the best as far as touching patients and really having the patients respond in a positive way. Kind of set the foundation for me to build my practice, my professional career around the patient. And that's really one of the main reasons why I left traditional medicine, because I felt that was evaporating. But, with hair restoration, especially now with COVID, my focus is 100% on the patient during that case.
That was the voice of Daniel A. Danyo, MD, founder and physician at North Atlanta Hair Restoration, a boutique medical practice solely dedicated to the diagnosis and treatment of male and female hair loss. And you're listening to Hair Restoration with Dr. Daniel A. Danyo. I'm your host, Clark, and all season long, we're speaking with Dr. Danyo about how he and his team at North Atlanta Hair Restoration are helping his patients transform their everyday lives for the better. In this episode, Dr. Danyo and I are joined by David, a hair restoration patient. David explains why he chose Dr. Danyo for his procedure and describes his experience with the process from start to finish. And he also offers his perspective on the anti-aging industry as a whole. There's so much to talk about, so let's dive right in. Dr. Danyo, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Clark. How are you?
I'm great. How is the training going for all the races you're working on?
Lately slow, but you kind of go through peaks and valleys. I'm probably in a little bit of a valley right now. Just been really busy. Pollen season is upon us.
Man, I feel you on that.
Exactly. And we were actually going to do a half Ironman in Utah, and we ended up changing to doing just the Augusta half Ironman in September, my daughter and I, just because a couple of the races got canceled, and it's like you're transporting your bike out there and getting a hotel room and flights, and 72 hours before the race, they're canceling it. So there just wasn't a guarantee, so we just decided, let's just do the one race.
Right. Well, you've been busy.
Yeah.
You've been busy working with all of your patients, and we actually have a special guest, a recent patient here with us. So,
yes,
Dr.
David.
Danyo, give us a little intro here. David, welcome.
Thank you, Clark.
David, so first, I just want to say hello to you, David. How are you?
I'm doing great, Clark. All right. Excited to be with you guys.
So, Dr. Danyo, tell me how you both met, and then we'll kind of do a little background there and then kind of get to present day.
Sure. Well, I met David probably around 2015. We had just moved to a new office location, and David is in the cosmetic realm. Works with a lot of dermatologists and plastic surgeons, hair restoration, and other cosmetic procedures. So he introduced himself, and we have had a great relationship. He's actually one of my vendors for something called PRP, which we've talked about before. And he's been just a great asset to our practice. He's been in on a lot of hair transplants. And just a couple of years ago, he said, I might be the next one. And then recently he said, let's get it done.
Let's get it done. So, David, when was it when you all met? Was it just like a routine visit? Was it one of those kinds of things?
Yeah, like Doc said, I'm in the anti-aging business, been in on several cosmetic hair restoration. Still at that point, honestly, was a little bit new, to procedures. So I heard great things about Dr. Danyo and was excited to kind of reach out to him. And the one thing that, really was a big thing for me was that, he was the one doing the procedure, because a lot of facilities, they use techs. And he even said to me, I remember, most of my patients want the doctor, no offense against techs, right?
And a tech, they come in and they kind of, you meet with the doctor for a few minutes and then the doctor leaves. That's what you're describing. And then the tech comes in and does the procedure.
Exactly. Right. And so, I wanted the best of the best. So many things, that he had appealed to me on a personal level. as we kind of moved through, like Doc was saying, I absolutely made up my mind early on, right? I'm going to have this done, and I'm going to use Dr. Danyo. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind, about it.
So the anti-aging business, I feel like that is something it's been around for a long time, right? But it's over the last couple of years, maybe most recently, have you found yourself, how many offices or how many other folks have you been around, just to help me understand kind of the work you do?
Yeah, I've been in the anti-aging industry for 29 years, and I've seen a lot of different things. Technology has really gotten to a great level, and there's no better example than hair restoration for this. The technology that's available is tremendous. But really, the main thing, too, is just, the expertise and the absolute attention to detail that Dr. Danyo brings to his procedures. He's unique. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And I'm not talking about in Atlanta or Georgia, really nationwide. The fact that he does the shaveless procedure is so important to a lot of people, especially I think guys, because typically when a man's getting hair restoration, they go and they use a one guard at the barber and they shave you down. So, everyone pretty much knows what you've done. And Dr. Danyo doesn't do that. In my travels, no one knew what I had done. I like that. I'm a bit of a private person, but, it looked, very natural. And that's an important part of, I think, to this whole procedure.
I think what makes your perspective on all this really unique is that you said you've been doing this kind of work. You've been around this industry, anti-aging and all of this for 29 years. So you've seen a lot. And
I have.
That, I think, compliments to Dr. Danyo, man. That's got to feel good to hear. So,
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Danyo talks a lot about his reason why he loves this work so much. And what I've loved hearing him say is like, the feeling he gets from seeing his patients, how they react and respond afterwards. So maybe could we talk a little bit about, just with you, David, about the kind of the before and after? Like, what were you feeling before? And was there a moment when you decided, because you were saying, one of these days I might come see you, but was there a time when you were like, okay, I think now I'm ready to do this? And then let's talk a little about the after and how it's been, because it's been at the moment we're recording this, maybe around a month ago.
Yes.
So the before, when was there a moment when you were like, okay, I'm ready to do this?
Well, I'll tell you what, I had been looking at my hairline for years. It was probably 10 years ago. I started to notice, the recession, and it bothered me, right? Because yes, as you were talking about, Clark, I've been in this industry for 29 years, but it's not something that I just do. It's really who I am. Through the years, I've had clients say, hey, are you someone who uses what you're talking to me about? And the answer has always been, yeah, absolutely. Right. I believe in everything that we do, but again, it's who I am. Anti-aging, as I said to my wife one time, I said, I'm in the anti-aging industry. I probably should look a little anti-aged. And she said, well, probably.
Oh, right,
I said, but again, just on a personal level,
right.
Just looking in the mirror every single day for the last decade and thinking I see pieces, that are disappearing, and I don't like that. And the technology and the expertise that Dr. Danyo brings to this is so unique. And again, when I met him early on and just talked with him for a little bit, I knew, when I get this done, I am going to see Dr. Danyo.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And the after, the whole experience and then the after was there for, a bit. We got done and Dr. Danyo took the time to go through, the post-care with me. He had it written out perfectly. I referred to that several times over the next, several days. He called and checked on me. You feel like, you're the only thing that matters when you're in his facility. In a lot of facilities, there's so many things happening. And that wasn't the case there, so you're just, the focus and, that from a patient experience goes a long way.
Boom. I love hearing that, because as I've been talking with Dr. Danyo here now, I think I've started to take it for granted a little bit. It's him and it's the patient. And sometimes the sessions might take a couple hours longer or shorter depending on the situation. But it is what a great focus to really hone in on. Of not only did you want to work with him, but you wanted it to be done by him, and that's how he does all of these. So that is, it's really cool to hear directly from somebody, is what I'm trying to say.
Yes. Well, the physician-patient relationship to me is just so important. I really learned that from my father, who I spent a lot of time with in my training and even my early years. He was an orthopedic surgeon. Out of all the physicians that I trained with, he was the best as far as touching patients and really having the patients respond in a positive way. Kind of set the foundation for me to build my practice, my professional career around the patient. And that's really one of the main reasons why I left traditional medicine, because I felt that was evaporating. But, with hair restoration, especially now with COVID, my focus is 100% on the patient during that case. I'm also free to interact with people after the case and really just build that relationship, which is sorely lacking these days with how medicine has changed and how doctors are now just providers and not necessarily, this physician that really spent a lot of time with patients and where patients felt comfortable to kind of open their hearts and kind of give their all. And it's great when we can kind of do it together and I can give my all and get the results that I want and the patient wants.
I think it's something that's interesting with both of you is your careers you're kind of around a lot of the similar things, and this anti-aging perspective. And David, you were saying something earlier, I'm a private person, and I really like this because this procedure is the shaveless FUE procedure, which basically means it doesn't look like you just got this procedure. It's pretty discreet. My question for you, since you've been around this for so long and all sorts of different procedures and different things, do you have a common encouragement that you give to people, a perspective about the industry? Are there maybe things that people feel like, I don't know if I should do this, any kind of, anything for themselves for anti-aging? Does that make sense? I'm just kind of curious for someone who's been around this for so long. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not just someone who is in the industry. It's part of who I am. And I've been so interested in anti-aging my whole life. And as it relates to hair restoration, there's a lot of different things I've seen, out there through the years, mainly the strip technology, where literally someone goes into the back, cuts a large strip, takes grafts, and then those are placed, where, the restoration is needed. Where there's nothing like that. To me, and this goes with any aesthetic procedure, hugely for hair restoration, and that is that it needs to look natural. That to me is the definition of a great aesthetic procedure. It looks completely natural. We've all seen someone who had a facelift or work done, and you look and you can tell, right? That to me is not a great aesthetic procedure. It needs to look natural. And that's what I absolutely love so much about this, is that it does. And I'm almost a month in, and it looks completely natural. No one can look at me and say, hey, what's going on, right? There's none of that. And that was, immediately after the procedure. That, again, goes back to the shaveless that Dr. Danyo has that no one has. And again, not just in Atlanta or Georgia, really across the country.
And David, one thing I wanted to add is that you're one of the 10% of patients that has early growth. So, you're seeing amazing growth right now. A lot of people have shedding at this point, and maybe, 1 month out, there's not a lot of growth. So, you're lucky to actually be having such early growth and amazing results, which is awesome.
Excellent.
The whole experience, everything about it is exciting.
How do you feel like you would describe how you feel now that you have this?
Well, I was excited before, during, right? And more so after. because I know literally every single day it's going to look better and better and better. And so it's just, this gift that's going to keep giving. And, we all want to look and feel better. That's no secret. The fact that I've been able to do it, with Dr. Danyo, because he's at such a high level.
I think you're absolutely right. Everyone deserves to look and feel better. And congrats to you for making that decision, and great work, Dr. Danyo. Another happy patient, another great story.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I even learned about Wim Hof, right, for my breathing technique. That's actually helped me work out, right?
Oh, what is that?
Oh, you got to, Doug, I've been telling everybody about this thing. I actually had someone yesterday who actually texted me and they said, that's amazing.
How long have you done the breath hold now?
I did it. I actually started probably a week after I had the procedure.
Yeah.
And it was almost like the first time I did it, I was like, wow, that's like he talks about tingly and stuff, in your fingers and everything, And so, it's 11 minutes and he goes through, I love that, in with peace, out with stress.
Yeah.
Right. But it's what I do in the morning. I'm a morning person. I like to do that. And then I go and I work out, whether I'm lifting or I'm running myself. And I'm noticing that my workouts are better. The showers, I kind of used his app for that. It was like, okay, 15 seconds, 30, get up to 2 minutes. And now I take that was like, whoa, right? But now I've gotten literally to the point where it sounds weird, but it almost feels warm to me. It's just, but I mean, it's good stuff, right? So that's another, Doc, we've always talked, he works out, I work out. And so we kind of relate, on that level as well. But I absolutely love that. In fact, I told a group I was talking to last week about it. And this is the person who texted me yesterday, like, oh my gosh, that's so cool, right? And I was like, yeah.
So Clark, you don't know about? There's a guy named Wim Hof, Wimhof. Look him up on. You can do YouTube, but anyway, he's a guy from Holland, and he, as a young kid, would go into the snow and get this peace, and when he was about 17, literally started breaking the ice at a local lake and jumping in the winter and doing cold immersion for like 5 to 10 minutes and feeling great. So he's well into his 60s now, but he's got 18 world records related to cold and endurance. And he knew that early on with the cold you needed to breathe. So he came up with these breathing techniques that literally get you to a level that monks and these yogis, it takes them 15 to 20 years to get. You can get to that level in about 10 to 15 minutes.
It's really cool. It's meditative for me. What? It's not just the breathing.
Yeah.
I feel, meditation and, all the science behind that, great for heart rate, great for blood pressure, so many benefits, right? And so I feel like I'm getting both because it's just that really serene feeling. Yeah. But the breathing, just, again, the practice, the first time I did it, I couldn't hold my breath for almost, I had to struggle for a minute. Now I'm doing 2 minutes.
Yeah. I've actually, Clark, held my breath for 3 minutes with no air in my lungs after doing it. Yes.
It's cool. You got to see it. Go to the, like when I was there, go to Netflix. It's the Goop Lab.
I'm going to do that.
It's the second episode on the Goop Lab. I got my family doing it. I got my wife doing it, my daughter and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so we watched that. And then
the nice thing is it's free.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's free to do.
It's
Clark,
really cool.
I've been getting in my pool almost every day all winter.
Really?
I'm talking even if it's in the 40s. Yeah.
Man, so that is so wild. I had no idea. So is the breathing technique, is this just like a bonus thing in life, or is this something that's also, is this something, Dr. Danyo, you're doing like when you're doing your procedures? How did this come up?
No. So I had heard about him intermittently, and then I had a patient who looked great, and he said, I've been doing this Wim Hof stuff, and he said, you really need to get into it. So I downloaded his book called The Wim Hof Method. I listened to it. Then I listened to this other book called If It Doesn't Kill You by a guy who tried to discredit him, but now has been practicing his technique since 2012. He's done all these amazing things. In fact, he and Wim Hof hiked up Mount Kilimanjaro in shorts in 28 hours. Usually takes a week.
What?
Yes. Wim Hof climbed Mount Everest in shorts.
Wow. That's so cool that you all could connect on
So the
this.
key is the deep breathing, the breath holds. It stimulates your brainstem, and it releases norepinephrine, dopamine, epinephrine, and it gets you to a very calming state. It gets you ready for the day. It improves your recovery from athletics. It gets you ready for a workout. You'll be able to work out better. In fact, if you do your maximum push-ups and then do one set of Wim Hof breathing, hold your breath, and you'll double your push-ups.
And so this also helps with recovery?
Yeah. And then the other thing that you do is then follow up with doing a cold shower. And that also stimulates. Cold is such a primal, stressful response. I mean, cold is never pleasant. And your brain emits a stress response, which is more dopamine, more norepinephrine, epinephrine. So when you do the breath holds and the breathing, get in the shower and do a cold shower. Kind of have to, pace yourself. You can't just do 2 minutes right off the bat. You will come out of that shower, and then you will have a day that will be very productive and very stress-free.
Absolutely. It made sense to me because I've trained for races and taken, ice baths, and what it's done for my body for recovery is amazing. So it was like, okay, I get that part. You know what I mean? So, and then the breathing, the first time I did it, it was like, okay, this is really cold. And I just focused on the breathing like the show. But I've done it at night too, because it's been, a day, or I've been traveling or something's going on. It's like, I need an extra dose. And it's just so serene.
I love it. That's great. I've got one last question. I'm going to ask you this to you, David, on the patient side. Pain. How is pain playing a role in this, or how did that work?
Oh, I mean, just extremely comfortable. All right. I had just a little sting when the anesthetic went in, but absolutely, no pain during the procedure whatsoever. And what's good too, again, Dr. Danyo is, throughout the procedure, he's asking me, is everything okay? Are you fine? Nothing even significant to me, that would be a factor in this.
That's great to hear. Wonderful. Well, guys, thanks so much for taking some time out of your busy days to connect on this. This has been really fun. And I learned some really cool things about the breathing. Who would have thought?
See that? Go look at it tonight and start tomorrow. I'm telling you, it'll change what you're doing.
I love that. And I love how the exterior of your body, a hair transplant and hair restoration, there's also things to do on the inside. And all of this is to help you look and feel better. So I love that we had that theme in this conversation.
Absolutely.
David, thank you so much.
No, absolutely. It's been a pleasure, right? The whole experience has been amazing.
Thanks for listening to Hair Restoration with Dr. Daniel A. Danyo. Book your free consultation today with Dr. Danyo by simply calling 678-845-7521 or visit them online at nahairrestoration.com. And be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.